Right then, welcome back. It's been a while, I do apologise. Been mad busy at work and various other factors have prevented me spending as much time as I would like playing on my Xbox and making videos for you wonderful people. But anyway, we're back and we are going to do a setup video for this. The original catalyst for change. Without this, I'm not saying there wouldn't have been any R1s or GSX R1000s or BMW S1000RRs, but the original 1992 FireBlade was certainly a catalyst for change. And there's the setup. We're going to do things slightly differently today. So there's the setup. Honda-ish, 1 on the front end, 9 on the rear for preload, 9 for spring and traction control and everything else. And there's electronic settings, and we're going to go through the pros and cons, not one at a time, but step by step. So the first one, good on the brakes. Indeed it is very good on the brakes. It does not matter where you brake, how hard you brake, but this bike will be your friend. It will cock the back wheel, it will drag itself to the inside of the turn. It doesn't matter whether it's UMC, Brands Hatch, Donington, Laguna Seca, it does not matter. You get on the brakes and it will help you. Loads of feel, you get loads and loads of vibration through the pad when you get to the limit. Yeah, that was a bit naughty, but it was an old Suzuki. We don't like old Suzukis, but yeah. Donington National down into the chicane, the horrible chicane. Goddard chicane is just bloody awful, and it's just fantastic. It puts plenty of heat through the front tyre, Phillip Island into the Honda hairpin on the brakes, and it's just lovely. Handling, we'll come on to the handling later, but yeah, the handling's on your side as well. And time after time after time, getting on the brakes, leaving on the grass and the curb, it doesn't matter, it'll still stop. Still stop you, still let you turn in, it's adjustable, oh, it's just a pleasure. I did struggle with this initially because I think we came, where did we come off? I can't remember, wherever we came off was a little bit quicker than this. I might have been doing a couple of endurance races, but it was a mite bit faster than a 30-year-old Honda FireBlade. And even in the wet, the brakes are good. Look at the adjustability through here. I've used this little bit of track a couple of times, but yeah, it just doesn't matter. Into turn, is it 9 and 10, my favourites? Yeah, 9 and 10, up the inside. Yeah, put the bike where they want to be. This is a bit rude as well. There's a little bit of contact, and we did kind of help them into the barriers, but hey-ho, and there goes the FireBlade, never to be seen again. But yeah, just really, really good on the brakes, loads of feel. Not as good as a FZ1N, but apparently, but hey-ho, everything has its limits. And yeah, it was just an absolute pleasure. Second pro, it handles extremely well, and I mean extremely well. It's not the fastest bike in the world, which we'll come on to on the cons, but for a 30-year-old bike, bear in mind, when this came out in 1992, 30 years prior to that was 1962, well, yeah, obviously, and most British bikes were still on right-hand gear shift, yes. That's how much of a sea change this motorcycle was. This will still stand up to its absolute contemporaries, and in the right hand, one of these on most of the roads in the UK, as long as it's not too straight and the 200 horsepower missiles get away from it, they are still quite rapid. Something from 1962 is not going to be rapid, but this thing is good. It'll ride curves, it'll hold a line. It does struggle ultimately for rear edge grip, which we'll come on to in a little while, but it handles well. It's not got a million horsepower, and it gives you loads of grip out of corners, and it gets you into positions to be able to overtake. I mean, that is a MV, I think that's an MV1000 as well. And yeah, alright, in a straight line we're going to lose out, but actually on the brakes and into the bend, because of the handling, it's just fantastic. I mean, down through the crane of curves, it just works. It just works as long as you give it a little bit of time. It is an older bike, so it's a bit longer and lower than the more modern stuff. It doesn't have the electronics to help it neither, so you do have to play to its strengths rather than just trying to do what you do on a BMW S1000RR, and it just won't work. You've got to work with the bike, for the want of a better phrase. But yeah, it's just nice bike to ride. It'll be on your side. It's not going to spit you off and send you over the bars or halfway into the moon or anything like that. Even through the quicker stuff, Phillip Island, turn 1, through Durand corner, it gets a bit fidgety on the bumps, but what bike doesn't? And then into turn 2, the Southern Loop, which is a bit of a tightening radius and you're going down a gear, you just got to work with it. I'm not saying it doesn't move about, it does, and I think that's why I kind of liked it. It's got a little bit of character, it's a little bit nervous, and in the wet, well, in the wet it's absolutely rock solid. Yeah, I did have a couple of crashes, of course I did. I'm trying to do the races in one go without using rewinds and slide it about and muck on and do all sorts of stuff, but up through this turn kind of 2, 3, 4, 5 sequence that a lot of bikes struggle with, especially in the wet, it's absolutely fine. Builds heat in the tyres really well, power's nice, brakes are nice, as long as the tracks haven't got massive straights. If they've got massive straights, well, you're in a world of trouble. Again, this lovely little bit of footage into essentially a double apexed hairpin turn 8. What's that, Barrianto? It's a horrible name, but yeah, it's really good. And the last pro, which I can't really do anything about, which I mentioned at the start, is the original Game Changer. Game Changer. For a lot of people, it is the superbike. Cons, it is slow. It is slow as a modern 600cc bike. It's only making 150 horsepower, I think. And the engine, as a result of its age and other bits and bobs, feels a little bit strained. You try to use the brakes and the handle into the corner and that causes inevitable problems, but 3 bikes at the front, yeah, see ya, get ready, because there's a missile about to come stonking past on the left hand side of the screen. There you go. Hello, welcome to the party, Mr. ZX10. Yeah, it does struggle a little bit for outright pace, but like I said, it's 30 years old. It's not a 200 horsepower, 170 kilo modern motorbike with electronics and a 200 section rear tyre. It's just not got that. It is of its time, and the bikes that came out around when it was around just can't get near it. And the last one, which I tried tuning it out, but it just caused more problems. It resulted in a lack of rear end grip, is it struggles for edge grip. Just as you get on the gas, watch what the rear end does. It just steps out of line. There you go. It steps out of line, then it compresses the rear spring, and what that tends to do is then cause the bike, as you stand it up, it causes it just to pull a little wheelie. I tried increasing the spring rate, I tried increasing the preload, and the negative effects were harder to manage than just a little bit of edge grip. You've just got to stand the bike up just as you're coming out of the corner, and I appreciate on this one there was a little bit of curb. It is what it is. Some people are going to ride the curbs, you've just got to get on with it. You've just got to stand the bike up just a little bit and then get on the gas. It does mean you can't do what we were doing with the ZX10, and there's a Hayabusa video coming out soon as well, where it's just an absolute rear steer monster. You're on the gas constantly, just battering it out of the corners, and it just does not care. And then getting the wet, it just amplifies and magnifies the problem that you're struggling for a bit of rear end grip. But other than that, that's it. It's a nice bike. It went fairly well on the leaderboards. We would have been on the inside of the top 25 a few times. 18th at UMC, 22nd at Brands Indy, 14th at Donington National, etc, etc. Phillip Island, 101st, miles out. The problem is, it's just towards the top end of the S7 to S800 bracket, so a lot of more modern stuff is kind of pushing it and keeping up with it. I wouldn't see which way a street triple RS went, but it's just, that's what it is. It's a consequence of age, isn't it? But yeah, good bike. If you give it a go, let me know. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe. You're all absolute legends, and fingers crossed I will see you next time. Take care, stay safe, peace.